All right, let's look at the Nasdaq. We have about 4 minutes until news comes out. Let's see what this is looking like. So first, I like to get my new day opening gaps. I like to have those levels on my chart. So this candle's opening price and this candle's close. You want to take that. That is your current new day opening gap. We are trading inside of this fair value gap. So the high, this 1 hour VISI, gonna have that level on my chart as well. You can see the initial reaction after dropping down into that hourly fair value gap. So we're just gonna wait to see what we do at 10 o'clock with our high impact news driver, consumer confidence. We'll see what that gives us. All right. So two things here. This fair value gap, I'm treating that as a breakaway gap. Okay, so consequent encroachment, midpoint, and below. I don't want to see that traded to. All right. So preferably, I want to see this entire fair value gap stay open. But if we do trade down into this lower one here, that lower half of the fair value gap, I'll draw it out. Okay, the lower half of this fair value gap here has to stay open, preferably. So we have that, and then we also have SMT. All right, so notice the lows. Nasdaq made a higher low, S&P lower low. So Nasdaq failed to make a lower low. So this tells us that Nasdaq potentially is the leader. It's stronger because it failed to go lower while S&P did. So what I'm watching for, if I was trading today, I'll be watching to see if we leave this fair value gap open and treat this upper one that's laying on top of this new day opening gap. I want to see if this region up here can offer support and take us higher. But I don't want to see this lower half of the fair value gap traded to down here. That would tell me that price is bullish. We're likely on side and likely to aim for buy side up here and get back above the midnight opening price. See these highs up here? All of this is way too clean. Retail seeing all of this as strong resistance. I want to see us blast through that. Retail saying this is resistance, resistance, resistance. I want to see us take that out. So I'm looking at this high up here. I'm not trading my funded account until tomorrow. Subscribers will trade that. We'll trade that tomorrow. One contract, base hits, $1,000 a week is the goal. There's that new day opening gap. Remember, am I looking for this fair value gap to be traded to? Absolutely not. No, I don't want to see this fair value gap traded to. New day opening gap, all the way up to the high of this fair value gap. I want to see that act as support. Don't want to see this traded to. Drop down, trade it to consequent encroachment. Nice displacement. I want to see if we can get above this high. My focus is buy side up here. I want to see us get above that midnight opening price because that's a premium. We're still in a discount as long as we're below this price level. All right, another teaching point. Macros. I get a lot of questions about macros, how I use macros in my trading. I made a video about this a while ago, but this window here, 950 to 1010. Notice how your SMT divergence occurs during that 20-minute interval. Nasdaq fails to make a lower low. All right, I said that means Nasdaq is the leader. It's stronger because it failed to make a lower low like ES did. That occurred during this 20-minute window. We had this breakaway gap, right? During that 10 o'clock macro. I said I wanted to see this fair value gap offer support because it's laying on top of this new day opening gap. I don't want to see this fair value gap traded to. If it did, it can't trade past midpoint. We traded down to the new day opening gap on top of this fair value gap, acting as support, leaving this fair value gap open. Okay, we did not want to see this traded to. All of this occurring during that macro. So let's say we didn't have a bias on the daily chart, but we notice we have SMT, breakaway gap, fair value gap. We have clean highs all throughout here. This 20-minute window tells you your bias for the session. So there you go. That's kind of how I internalize macros. I use it to help frame short-term bias for the morning and the PM session. So this is another one of those instances where I'm foreseeing a potential bullish breaker, this up close candle here. So as soon as we drop down and made a lower low, my focus jumps right to this up close candle. Low, high, lower low. If we get above this swing high, preferably close above it, I would want to see this up close candle offer support and take us into the buy side up here. Notice how we left a fair value gap right on top of the breaker in close proximity to the opening price of that bullish order block. So I want to see if this can send us higher. And remember, we're still below that midnight opening price. We're still in a discount. I mean, I don't promote the live streams that much, but I mean, if we're being real, compared to everything else out there, $20 a month, like I would never encourage people to copy my trades, but assuming somebody did, if you're paying 20 a month and you copy one of my trades during that month, I'm no math genius, but you know, not financial advice though. I'm just live streaming my trades. I was in other Discord servers and they're charging like an arm and a leg, like a whole 150 a month, 200 a month for signals that don't even hit half the time. It's like nobody's gonna pay for that. Well, people are paying for it, but they're getting scammed. But anyway, I digress. This down close candle here is a bullish order block. All right, so this is one of those times where if I was long in here, notice how we're approaching that 11 o'clock hour. And I've kind of stressed this a lot for the past month. 11 o'clock is profit taking hour. So we have our buy side objective up here, up here. And as we enter that 10:50 to 11:10 window, you want to start scaling out and taking profits because that's when price can reverse, retrace, take out a swing low before continuing higher. So as we enter, and we're actually already in it. So let me tell you how I would manage this trade here because we're already getting late in the morning session. So if I was long down here in this fair value gap and I sat through all this nonsense, if price were to run out this high here, I would pay myself because now that we're in that 10:50 to 11:10 window, this high up here is not guaranteed to get hit. We're already approaching 11 a.m. So I would run down some of my equity. There's buy side being generated above this swing high. If we run that, I'm paying myself there. Okay, see that right there. This run up here, I would pay myself above this high. Run down some of my equity. So if I had two contracts on, if I bought two here, taking a partial here, and leaving the last contract on up here. It's 11 o'clock, 11:01. Time and price. What are we seeing here? Small little retracement. So now what I'm watching for is if this order block, these consecutive down close candles, along with this bullish breaker. 11 o'clock, typically, if we're bullish, once we approach this macro, we'll run. We'll run and take out a short-term low, like here, swing low here, and we'll continue to rally. So I'm watching to see, after taking out sell side, trading into this order block, into this breaker, I want to see if we can still get buy side up here. I like how the bodies are staying relatively above mean threshold of the breaker. Take the entire range of that candle from low to high, get the midpoint, see the bodies. That's something that I like to see. This is a master class, not gonna lie to y'all. Remember, if you have multiple contracts on, whoever is long, it'll be a smart idea to pay yourself above this high. Not having to worry about clocking into a job. There's your minor buy side liquidity tag. Take a partial there if you didn't. There you go. Just like we outlined from the open. Beautiful, beautiful. You guys saw it real time. Great learning day. But we're going to go ahead and get off of this, man. Appreciate you guys sticking this one through. This was a long stream, but hopefully you found it insightful. Hopefully you learned something. Subscribers, we're trading live tomorrow, pressing buttons tomorrow. So I'll see you then. The rest of y'all have a great day. Love you. See you in the markets tomorrow. All right. Peace.